There's a business in the town of Wanamingo that you simply can't miss.
It's on the main drag and it is decked out in a lot of signs and a lot of pink. In this week's Finding Minnesota, John Lauritsen explains how the idea behind Blondie's butcher shop began in the mountains out west.
I like the ruralness. It's home. You know, it's always been home.
But for many years, Lindsay Fulton Loken left home and worked at a much higher elevation. She was a paramedic 13,000 feet above sea level.
I was out in the Bighorn Mountains and Montana, Wyoming. I called home to my dad. And I'm like, I'm just really burnt out. I was complaining like any kid does to their parents.
That homesickness brought her back to the small town with the big name. But she didn't return empty-handed.
Out of the blue, he's like, well, the meat locker's for sale across the street.
Lindsay didn't know a thing about being a butcher, but in a traditionally male-dominated profession, she learned quickly, relying on lifelong farm friends to help her carve out a new career, all while performing a meat locker makeover.
I imagine it looks a lot different today than it did 90 years ago, right?
Well, I always joke that, you know, I'm probably making the previous owners turn over in their grave because I painted it pink.
That was one of the first changes she made. Then came the signs, a whole lot of them.
Most of the sticky, quirky signage you see actually came from locals who've embraced the Blondie's vibe.
She's definitely gaudy. And I don't take that word as an offense by any means, because it is. It's very gaudy. It kind of looks like the inside of my head. It's very busy.
The hope was customer curiosity would take over, and it worked.
Very cool. Lots of cool signs, old signs. We like to buy local meats, and I noticed it was local meats and a women-owned shop.
This is the first Blondie you see when you walk in.
The first
You're
one.
the second one.
It's funny because nobody makes eye contact with me right away because they're just too busy, like, reading this, looking at that, what about that?
At first, Lindsay was so busy with pork chops and steaks, she didn't realize the local farmers had already given her new business a name.
People started writing checks out to Blondie's Butcher Shop, Blondie's Locker, the bank got mad. So needless to say, we changed the name of it to Blondie's Butcher Shop.
And clearly there's no going back. Lindsay and her customers are tickled pink with the changes she's made, and there could be more to come.
I really enjoy teaching. I feel like I've done it long enough. I have a lot more to give back to the industry than just processing beef and hogs right now. I really want to put a women-owned product out there.
In Wanamingo with photojournalist Dave Cheney, John Lauritsen, WCCO News.
Blondie's Butcher Shop holds a barbecue fest every year before the 4th of July that more than 800 people attended last year.
And Lindsay notes she isn't the only female meat cutter at the shop. She likes to also stress that all of their products come from local farms.